Hey YouTube, another Car Flip Nation video here. Today we're going to give you 3 quick tips on avoiding lemons when you're buying a flip car. Nobody wants to end up with a lemon. So here's 3 things that you might not know of if you're new to the car flipping business. Let's start with number 1. Past due registration, toll fees, or tickets. So in some states, for example, in my home state of California, fees can follow the vehicle to the new owner. So you may have not have owned the vehicle at the time, and the past owner was running a lot of toll lanes or toll booth crossings on bridges. Maybe you got a lot of unpaid parking tickets, or because of the tickets and toll fees, they haven't paid their registration for a couple of years. A lot of times when you buy a car, even at a dealer auction, the plates won't be on it, so you won't know necessarily if the registration is expired and past due. So that's an important tip to look for that you might not otherwise think of. How do you solve this? Well, especially in the state of California, they have an online inquiry. So you can go to a website to check fees for used vehicles, and you put in the entire VIN number. You don't have to have the license plate, but you can also run it with a license plate and a partial VIN, or if you don't have the plate, you just put in the full VIN, and they'll tell you what the fees are. So if you see a huge number for $1,000 in past fees, that's probably not a vehicle that you want to purchase. All right, emissions inspection monitors. Another thing you'll find pretty common when you're buying a car at an auction or even a private party car is the car has a dead battery. It's been sitting for a while. It needs to be jump started. The problem with this is even though you jump start the car, maybe you drive it around for a little bit, generally speaking, that will not give enough time for the emissions inspection monitors to run. There's several for different systems that are inside the car to do a bunch of checks. Generally, you have to drive the vehicle for about 150 miles or so for all those monitors to run. Only then will the check engine light come on. So you may complete a short test drive, not realize that there's not anything wrong. So the only way to check for this is to put a scan tool on the vehicle, see if all the emissions monitors are completed and running and everything is passed. Because if you can't smog the car, in some states, again, like my state, California, if the car won't pass smog, you're not allowed to sell it. So the dead battery can be pretty common. A couple of things can actually interfere with the monitor from running, and so therefore the vehicle will never be ready to pass smog and might not actually pass or trigger a check engine light. For example, I had one vehicle that I purchased, and for whatever reason, it was a mystery at the time. I could not get one of the last few inspection monitors to run. As it turned out, there was a blown fuse for the car radio and the cigarette lighter. Because this is a flip car, it's not a car I was driving normally. Quite frankly, I didn't even realize or care if the radio worked. That was something I was going to work on down the road. One of the things that I like to do is make sure the vehicle's monitors run and passes smog as soon as I get the vehicle, so that I don't invest too much in reconditioning the vehicle that ultimately is never going to pass smog. So if you put a whole bunch of money into a car, make it look perfect, and then realize you can't sell it because it's not going to pass smog, you're going to be pretty frustrated. Some GM vehicles I'm aware of also sometimes have a radiator fan circuit that turns on the cooling fans. And if there's a problem with that, sometimes that will prevent some of the emissions monitors from running. Just like this car radio fuse. Again, you'd say this has nothing to do with emissions, but for whatever reason, the way the systems are designed, sometimes if those fuses aren't done and everything is in place, it just won't let the monitors run. So that's another tip. Use a scan tool, check to make sure all the emissions monitors have been completed and passed, and there's no pending issues with the car. All right, number 3, the last tip we're going to give is checking fluids in the car. So everybody knows about the trick to check the oil to see if you got a blown head gasket, but a lot of people don't think about when do you check those fluids. So my best advice is to check those fluids after you've let the car run for a while, and preferably after a test drive. Almost nobody does this, but if you think about it, if a car has a blown head gasket and an unscrupulous scammer changes the oil out and puts some fresh oil in it, you walk up to the car, check it, he turns it on. First thing you do, pop the hood, check the oil. Oil looks good. Hop in the car, drive it around. You don't think anything of it because you've already checked the oil. Now that oil has a chance to circulate, and then that's when it starts mixing with that coolant, and maybe just a minor blown head gasket won't be apparent with that fresh fluid in there. So that's the number 3 tip to avoid a big mechanical repair. I hope these 3 tips were helpful. Again, subscribe, comment below in the comment section if you have some other tips that we haven't mentioned yet on how to avoid buying a lemon when you're searching for your next flip car. And stay tuned for some more great videos where we give you more tips in the Car Flip 101 series.